The Land Rover Defender lineup here in Malaysia has now added a new member. Say hello to the Defender 90, the three-door Defender made for those who really want to go on an adventure. Let's take a quick walk around Land Rover's new edition to see what's what. Now, the Land Rover Defender lineup was recently reintroduced to Malaysia, starting with the 110 body style, which is a 5-door model, available as a 3-litre mild hybrid for a little over 1 million ringgit, and as well as the 2-litre Ingenium petrol engine, available for just over 800,000 ringgit. And now the Defender lineup adds the 3-door, allowing Malaysian Land Rover customers even more customizability and options when it comes to choosing their new Defender. Now, in terms of the Defender 90's availability, it will come with the same engine option. So you still get a 2-litre Ingenium inline 4, or if you upgrade a little bit more, you can get the Ingenium inline 6. Both engines are petrol and turbocharged, with prices starting from 838,000 ringgit for the Defender 90 4-cylinder, whereas it's a little under 1.1 million ringgit for the Defender 90 3-litre. Now, the biggest difference with the Defender 90 over the 110 is obviously the number of doors. So obviously with this car you only get 3 doors, 2 on either side and 1 in the back, and the wheelbase on this car is also significantly shorter for people who want a slightly more focused off-road experience, therefore benefiting from the better breakover angle. The approach and departure angles on this car remain class-leading and among the very best in the industry altogether. And of course, the Defender 90 in Malaysia comes as standard with 4-corner air suspension, as well as a 360-degree camera and a radar underneath the wing mirrors in order to sense the depth of water that you might be wading through. Now, this particular car comes with a few accessories, which we're not going to get into so much, but what is of note are the side steps on this car, which is an optional accessory which they put on this car because they knew I was coming and I am very short. So obviously the other big difference with the Defender 90 is that access to the second row seats is a little bit different. So first you have to fold the front seat forward, and then you have to press this button and wait for the seat to move away. And once it has, you have a little bit of space, about that much, for you to get your feet through. And now I will enter the vehicle as gracefully as I can. And inside, you will see that actually, despite its shortened dimensions, there is actually quite a bit of space in here. So this seat is set up in my driving position, and I am the national average, and I still have a good amount of knee room and a pretty good amount of headroom. Admittedly, this car does not come with the panoramic sunroof that the 110 does, but you still get the Alpine lights in order to provide a little bit more sunlight into the cabin. And of course, these windows are very, very large indeed. Now, in terms of rear accoutrements, I have aircon vents, I have USB-C ports, and I have little cup holders down here on the floor, as well as some little cubby holes up here. And of course, this car does come with the Meridian audio system that you'd expect from a high-end Jaguar Land Rover, with plenty of speakers back here in order to ensure that I am very comfortable. And while you could put 3 adults across or put 2 child seats via the ISOFIX mounts here, if you only have 2 adults back here, this armrest is rather nice and you can put cups in here and pretty much enjoy the ride. I wouldn't actually mind being sat back here for a long time. Oh, there are also oh my god handles here should you be a rear seat passenger as the driver goes off-road. Now, in the front of the Defender 90, it is mostly business as usual. The only differences here are, of course, the lack of the panoramic sunroof, like I mentioned earlier, as well as the inclusion of a wireless charging pad here in the middle, and the upgraded Pivi Pro infotainment system. So where the model that was introduced in Malaysia initially with a 110 had a 10-inch screen, this has now been upgraded to an 11-inch screen. And on top of that, it's also curved. So where it used to sit sort of within these rails, it now sits slightly proud of it, which does 2 things. One, you have more real estate, obviously, but more importantly, it's now a little bit closer, so it's a lot easier for you to manipulate. Aside from that, everything in here is as you'd expect. So you still have dual zone climate control, a USB-C, USB-A and nano SIM port down there, as well as a little 12-volt socket should you need it. You still have this sort of floating display where you have space back here, and you have a sort of free space in between the 2 front seats for you to put larger items, as well as a large center console bin. And as I mentioned earlier, you still get the Meridian audio system, but more importantly, you get the 2 digital screens on which you get various different kinds of information, such as off-road capabilities, your wading depth sensor, and various other parameters. This is also where you'll get all the information you need when it comes to this car's advanced driver assist features, because the Defender 90 comes packed full of it. So you get autonomous emergency braking, lane keep assist, lane centering assist, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, rear AEB, as well as adaptive cruise control with stop and go function, which means this big rugged off-road machine is actually still quite docile in town. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the Defender 90 is exactly the same as the Defender 110, and so it will appeal to broadly the same people. It's just a question of whether or not you need to use the back seats very regularly. So individuals like myself, for example, who do not use the passenger seats very often, would be pretty happy in one of these. The other question actually comes in terms of cargo, where with a swing of the barn door, you will realize that with the second row up, there is a significant deficit of space. And although you can fold the second row down, you will still have this bar that goes all the way across. This is a structural member to provide a bit more lateral support for the vehicle. But I think that for most people, this is going to be enough. And in typical Defender fashion, both the base of the cargo room as well as the backs of the seats are done up in this thatch pattern in order to allow it to be a little bit more rugged for rugged use. The Defender 90 builds upon the appeal of the Land Rover Defender and bringing this iconic nameplate into a new generation. The Defender 90 starts at 838,000 ringgit for the 2-litre 4-cylinder Ingenium engine, whereas a 6-cylinder mild hybrid Ingenium engine starts at just under 1.1 million ringgit. As far as I'm concerned, the Defender 90 continues to build on the appeal of the brand while continuing its heritage and capabilities off-road. Let us know what you think about the new Defender 90 in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.